RV Unplugged is brought to you by the National RV Training Academy, the largest RV technical career college, Alliance RV, RV Mattress by Brooklyn Bedding, Grand Design Recreational Vehicles, and the Jayco family of companies.
What? You want me to complete our sandwiches?
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
We're Howard and Katelyn Newstate of the Newstate Nomads.
And we are on RV Unplugged and will win this competition.
Yes, mark our words. It's going down. We're not going down. We're going to win.
No, we're going up.
Up to the top.
Yeah, number one.
All the way.
Well, the day is finally here. We are on our way to Texas to hopefully win $10,000.
But we have no idea what this is going to entail at all. But I feel like our trips to Alaska and Mexico and all across Canada and the US have prepared us for this moment.
Yeah, with over 80,000 miles of full-time RV travel, there's almost nothing we haven't done. Our channel, the Newstate Nomads, is not your traditional RV channel. It's actually more about destinations and travel. So you get some RVing, but you also get some flying, and you also find out about where to eat, where to stay, and what to do when you travel all around the world.
Yeah, we really like peeling back the layers and talking to the people that make each destination so special. So we went out lobstering in Maine and talked to the guy who makes the best lobster roll in all of Maine. That's the kind of stuff that we really love sharing with all of you.
All right, this is the moment I've been waiting for, and of course I went with both mayonnaise and butter. It's true. It is the best lobster roll I've ever had.
We've been on the road for over 4 years in our Winnebago Navion, and we've traveled across all of North America from Alaska down to the tip of Mexico.
And our Winnebago is like, absolutely, we love it. It's only 25 feet long, so it's a great length, and it's kind of like a little studio apartment in it. We looked at hundreds of RVs before we landed on that one. It was the first one I walked into where I was like, okay, I could live in this. We have a Murphy bed, so that goes away during the day. We run our business out of it, so we're working from the dinette, and it's great for all the pups.
Yeah, we vertically stacked the puppies. Because we have 3 dogs and 200 square feet, so what could possibly go wrong? Some of our favorite series we've done has Alaska. We've been there twice by RV. We traveled through Mexico for 5 months. We've been in Italy. We had an awesome series through Italy. We've been through most of Canada and most of the rest of North America.
Yeah, and we started our channel like right before the pandemic completely changed the world. And so that was really challenging to essentially launch a travel channel when you can no longer travel. And we were lucky in the sense that we happened to be in Mexico at that time. And so we really still had fresh content. And that was kind of what people got to know us for initially. And our channel has grown and evolved, and we've learned a lot of lessons over the years. But if you go back and watch some of that early stuff, you know, that's just what we love doing. We love going to places and telling people stories.
And eating. Katelyn loves to eat. If you are interested in seeing people consume all types of different food, this is the channel for you. How did we meet? We met on a roller coaster. This is a totally true story. We were both working for a very large amusement park operator here in North America, and one of my job responsibilities was to produce these events for either announcing or opening major capital projects like roller coasters. And so the company was opening a new roller coaster at the park in Charlotte. And Katelyn, at the time, was the head of communications for the park in Virginia. And so sister parks would come and support a park if they had a major project like this, because there's media from all over the world. So it just so happens that Katelyn gets there, and there were several of us, and I said, hey, do you guys want to jump on the ride? Because I had been on the ride now several times. By the way, this is an incredible roller coaster.
Yeah, if you're into roller coasters, it's amazing.
325 feet tall, 3 minutes and 25 seconds long, almost 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's held the record for best steel coaster in the world many times.
Mm-hmm. So they were like, oh yeah, absolutely, like let's get on this ride. Now it just so happens that in that group was somebody who was terrified of roller coasters. And their boss said, jokingly, either get on this ride or don't come back. Ooh. So somebody had a camera and took a picture to prove that she actually got on this ride, right? To prove her bravery. Well, that was 5 minutes after we had first met. And so there is photographic proof of the very first time we met within 5 minutes. thanks to the fact that somebody else was terrified of a roller coaster. And so we became fast friends.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, you're Howard from corporate. I had heard of him. He was like the elusive, because we would get these random emails. You're Howard from corporate. Cool.
Thank you. So anyway, we just became fast friends, and the friendship developed into something else. In both of our situations in our lives, our relationships had devolved, and so we were single, ready to mingle.
Yeah, it was like a year later when
yeah.
we finally started dating. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've been inseparable ever since. Literally, I mean, we've actually spent our entire marriage in 200 square feet. We've lived on the road our entire marriage. We got married in 2019, and so now we're coming up, we just passed 3 years.
Yeah.
A lot of people in their wedding vows, it's kind of a cliche to talk about roller coasters. This was awkward for me because I wanted to do vows about roller coasters because we literally met on a roller coaster. Not knowing how much of a cliche it was, I now look back on it with some regret because
No, it was perfect.
because I didn't know that so many people love to use the analogy of a roller coaster for like the ups and downs of life and all that business, and I'm like, that was literally our life. That is real.
It was beautiful. I loved it. We also travel with 3 dogs, Piper, Ella, and Scout. Piper and Ella are 9-year-old puggles, so they're half beagle, half pug, and they've been on the road with us all 4 years. And then we picked up a little souvenir in Mexico.
We already have 2 dogs, and we live in 200 square feet.
But she was really cute.
Scout. Scout is the world's most famous Mexican beach dog. She's just lovable. She has such a great personality, and her story is actually something you're going to want to check out.
A few days after settling into our self-isolation,
It's okay.
this skinny white pup ran down the beach and plopped down right on the shore while I was in the water.
It was a roller coaster of emotions, and she was our COVID project. We met her on day 2 of quarantine on the beach, a little fishing island that we ended up quarantining on. And, you know, I saw her and I was like, oh, she's so cute. Like, but she's a beach dog / street dog. Like, maybe I'll see her again one day. And 2 days later, there she was again. And we just developed this bond, and she was really sick and really hungry and just kind of in bad shape when we found her, and we nursed her back to health. So when we first found her, or she found us, she had these really bad, you can see these wounds, almost like she got hit and it was like road rash or something. Yeah, but they're starting to heal. I don't know if she'll ever have fur on this one.
The surprise with Scout was after all this effort and several months of feeding her, taking care of her, having vets come, all of that, we were like, well, if we're going to bring her back to the U.S., we need to get her collar and leash trained. Because, you know, in the U.S., at least at some point, she's going to need to be on a leash. So we get the collar on her, everything's fine. A couple days go by, now we're trying leash. We put the leash onto her, and she immediately bolts down the beach. And that's when we found out that actually she had a family.
Yeah. Imagine our surprise. And it's different in Mexico. Dogs down there, you know, they're just kind of free to roam and hang out and be out and about. And, you know, I started to walk back down the beach and let it sink in after we'd had a conversation with the family. And this gentleman came up to us and asked us what they had said about the dog. And he's like, well, I'm the dad. And if you love her, you should take her because you could give her a better life. They had another dog. This dog, Scout, was gifted to them as a puppy, and they just couldn't feed her, and she'd wander off and try to find food. And in that moment, it was just heartbreaking. And we had a really tough decision to make about what to do with Scout.
So we decided that if we couldn't train her up and get her comfortable with being in an RV and kind of the travel lifestyle, that we would provide the family with a year's worth of food and medicine because Scout was unfortunately quite sick.
You know, we just kind of persevered, and we're like, let's see how the next couple of weeks go, and we'll decide collectively like what's best for everybody. And I mean, she's been with us on the road now for 2.5 years, and it's been wonderful. And we really did save her life. She ended up being heartworm positive, and I think had we not been able to bring her back with us, she would have had a very different life and a very sad ending. So she's our little special nugget.
She is actually better on the road than the rest of our dogs. She loves to travel. She loves to look out the window. She loves to run around. We've put her now through an extensive training program, so the whole world is her dog park.
And I have to thank Howard, because through this all, it was a running joke while we were in Mexico, because I'm such a dog lover and there are so many dogs in Mexico. If you spent any time there, you know the amount of dogs that are there, and I would just fall in love everywhere we went. But Scout was different. And so after one too many nights of me crying that I couldn't leave her behind, he agreed that we could try to bring her into the RV. So
3 dogs and 200 square feet is asking a lot. I mean, we basically have the smallest Manhattan studio apartment on the road. This year started with New Year's, and we were celebrating a new year and what we thought was going to be a new life. And we had been actively going down the path of trying to get pregnant and
grow our family.
hopefully grow our family.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is crazy. Yeah, we were ready for a little person to share the world with.
You want me to go look in the bathroom?
Yeah.
What?
We found out on New Year's Eve that I was expecting, and we were so excited. And our excitement, I think it was just like a roller coaster of emotions. It went from excitement to, oh my gosh, this is really happening. And then just within a matter of days, that was completely ripped out from under us as I experienced a miscarriage. And I always knew that that could be a possibility, and even going into it, we knew it could be a possibility. I just wasn't prepared for the physical and emotional turmoil that comes along with all of that. And yeah, it was just a really rough start to a new year, because you start up here on a complete high with all of these, you know, hopes and dreams for what the year is going to look like. And then to have it just completely change that fast, it was really hard. If we can help one woman, one family going through this, not feel alone, or, you know, understand that this is common, and normalize talking about it, like, that is so important for me.
We eventually recovered and felt better about our situation.
Saw a doctor.
Yep.
And they were like, you know, nothing seems wrong. Like, just, you know, when you're mentally ready, just start trying again. And we did, and got pregnant again pretty quickly right away. And then again, it turned bad. So we had 2 miscarriages within 4 months this year. So where do we go from here? You know, what does our journey to parenthood look like? We don't really know at this point. You know, I think the number one most important thing for us is to heal.
So we were trying to get care across
Multiple states.
4 or 5 states.
Yeah.
You know, stretching all the way from New Mexico to Florida. Yeah.
But once we got to a better place, both physically and mentally, Howard and I made the collective decision to share our story, because pregnancy loss is so common.
I think about, of the people that we do know that have had a miscarriage, actually a majority of them, it resulted in the degrading of their relationship, and in some cases divorce. And that is just so heavy, and that just weighed on me so much that it's like, I don't want that to happen to us. You know, I don't want this to be what begins our downfall as a couple.
It's so common, and it affects so many people, both men and women. You know, there was an entirely emotional journey that Howard went through, trying to support me through that while I was incredibly sick and couldn't take care of myself through it all. And so we want our story, if we can help by sharing this and help one other person, then it's worth it for us to share that story. You're not alone, and the feelings that you're feeling are valid, and we'll, you know, answer questions that people have. You know, we want to be an open book when it comes to that, because it is so very common. And again, thank you. I'm so glad that I have a partner who is walking the journey with me. And, you know, it's reassessing and, like, you know, doing that soul searching, and kind of, we don't know what's next for us in that department, but we both needed to take a step back and get healthy physically and mentally. And, you know, the reality of the situation is, we would have been, if our first pregnancy had worked out, we would have had a brand new baby right now. And there are so many opportunities that presented themselves throughout the year that we wouldn't have been able to participate in. And so it was kind of serendipitous in a way that we were emotionally suffering, but all of a sudden, all of these doors opened for us and kind of picked us back up, and we were able to really rechannel that energy into something positive and work together as a team and come back to a place that we got to like really be happy and enjoy doing the things we wanted to do and getting back to travel. And for us, that was like our therapy, was working through all of that and looking forward to all these really wonderful things that are still happening even in the midst of grieving and a whole lot of sadness and pain.
We hope that this has helped to reduce some of the stigma regarding miscarriage and regarding the difficulties of pregnancy, and that it's not always rainbows and sunshine.
There's been a lot of good that's come from, from it all.
Well, the first time, so Stacy, we had emailed with Stacy in the past. We'd never met in person. And she reached out for this. We had tried to do a collaboration like several years before. Anyway, so she reached out about this, and we were like, yeah, absolutely. Like, let's do a call. And that was literally like 2 weeks before the second miscarriage. Or when 2 weeks before
we found out
found out we were pregnant, and almost instantaneously, Katelyn started having.
I mean, I was real sick. Like,
just terrible side effects. I mean, like crippling nausea. You were bedridden. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, we never got to connect and kind of missed out on this opportunity because we were just totally MIA. Like, we couldn't work. We couldn't do anything. It was just literal survival mode. And so then, like, again, it was serendipitous. They happened to be in Colorado at the same time we were in Colorado. We were able to connect, and she was like, well, let me see if we have any, if any spots come open, we'll stick you guys in. And it worked out, and so we're here. So we had Chinese food last night, and I did get an interesting fortune that says, your independence shall lead you to rewarding adventures. So I feel like whatever we're about to embark on could be a rewarding adventure, at least I hope. But my independence, like, do you think we'll be like pitted against each other?
Okay, so here's why I think we will win RV Unplugged. First of all, we're actually really good at off-grid RVing. And hopefully the name aligns with what the show is, because in 2020, we spent over 125 days straight dry camping. No hookups whatsoever. So I can certainly handle a couple weeks of dry camping, I don't know where.
I know, and I do feel like we work pretty well together as a team, so hopefully that will come into play as well.
We do. I mean, we're good with like, physical stuff, strategy stuff, puzzles.
I mean, to be an RVer, like, you have to communicate. If you're not communicating out on the road, then it's not going to go very well. So I feel like we can use that to our advantage.
Definitely.
Would you consider yourself a very competitive person?
Oh, yes.
Really? Yeah?
I am, but I'm also the kind of person that I will help people to a fault. So this is a conflict, internal conflict.
I do see that. I actually really, yeah, that's true. I'm not competitive, and I don't like conflict. So it's going to be very interesting.
So if you like fun, food, or frivolity, follow us, the New State Nomads. There's a link in the description and also on this channel. And if you're rooting for us, please put that in the comments and let everybody else know how and why we're going to win, because actually we'd like to know how and why we're going to win.
Yeah, so give us some tips.
If you can tell us.
But we're motivated to take this thing all the way to the end, so hopefully you'll come along with us for the ride. I'm excited.
Me too.